I must acknowledge my own surprise here. Boris Becker commands every room he enters. Built his reputation on fearless commentary spanning 6 Grand Slams and decades of sharp analysis. Nobody renders Boris Becker speechless, until Rome happened. The Rome Masters 2026 during clay season, where legends separate from contenders, witnessed something unprecedented. A fan explosion so thunderous, so remarkably intense, that Becker froze mid-commentary. The catalyst was Alex Eala, 20 years old from the Philippines, carrying supporters who don't merely cheer but mobilize armies. Thousands descended with Manila to Milan flags, chants reverberating through Foro Italico. When Eala stepped onto Roman clay, the energy transcended sport entirely. Becker witnessed it, absorbed the magnitude, then got silenced completely. The veteran commentator who has dominated broadcast booths for years stood visibly stunned. A 20-year-old commanded that crowd effortlessly, leaving one of tennis's most articulate voices utterly speechless. That instant revolutionized every conversation surrounding Eala permanently. Subscribe immediately if you crave this level of insight weekly. One click makes the difference. Here's what actually transpired. Requiring context, most coverage deliberately ignored. Alex Eala didn't enter Foro Italico as some wildcard fairy tale or feel-good underdog narrative. She arrived as legitimate clay court danger, with rankings climbing steadily, consistency making scouts nervous, and opponents quietly terrified. Born Manila May 23, 2005, Eala turned professional after becoming the first Filipino in history capturing Grand Slam glory, the 2022 US Open Girls Singles. That victory transformed Philippine tennis from treating her career as fantasy into treating it as business schedule. Her post-junior transition was ruthless, methodical. Eala blazed through ITF circuits, collecting WTA points systematically, proving across European clay that her game transcended hard court limitations. Her clay footwork deceives completely, retrieving shots opponents have already celebrated, constructing points rather than forcing outcomes. Against higher-ranked players, she consistently absorbs pressure and redirects it masterfully. That's professional weaponry, not junior talent. By Rome 2026, Eala had turned sufficient clay swingheads to demand serious respect. The International IBNL d'Italia carries weight few events outside slams can match. Foro Italico ranks among sport's most historically charged venues. Marble statues lining grounds, Campo Centrale holding over 10,000 spectators. Full matchday atmosphere is dense, deafening, completely merciless for mentally unprepared players. Eala walked into that cauldron and brought reinforcements. Filipino fan mobilization for Eala at European tournaments had been building for years, but Rome 2026 represented something tennis had never witnessed from this community. Filipinos across Italy, Spain, Germany, and UK converged on Rome through weeks of social media coordination, producing organized travel, block ticket purchases, and gate flag distribution. This wasn't spontaneous eruption but structured operation. The result inside Foro Italico was crowd sections functioning as singular units. Filipino chants with yellow and blue flags generating noise levels that venue regulars found genuinely startling. Tennis crowds are sophisticated. Rome crowds specifically carry long memories and short tolerance for manufactured or imported energy. What struck observers about Eala's support was it never felt like outside invasion but earned devotion. Crowds responded to her tennis, not just nationality. Every winner generated stadium rolling wave reactions. Every defensive retrieval extending impossible rallies produced near disbelief from neutrals unfamiliar with her trajectory. Boris Becker has dominated European tennis broadcasting for years, credentials needing no introduction. 3 Wimbledon titles including 17-year-old shocker, Australian Open victories, Davis Cup record defining German tennis generations. Off-court complexities are public knowledge, but his sport understanding remains unquestionable. Commentary desk perspective brings technical and instinctive fusion only highest-level competition provides. His Rome reaction to Eala atmosphere wasn't scripted drama, but genuine recalibration moment. Becker has commentated packed stadiums for decades, been courtside for nation-carrying matches, yet Eala's Foro Italico crowd caught him mid-framework. The volume, coordination, emotional temperature of genuinely invested fans produced delivery pause broadcast viewers noticed immediately. Clips circulated tennis forums and social platforms within hours, captioned with variations noting one of sport's most composed voices being visibly stopped by 20-year-old Filipino commanding Roman crowds. Reactions split predictably, some finding it extraordinary and moving. Others confused why crowds this size, loud and organized, supported players outside WTA's top tier. That question reveals the story's most fascinating element. Filipino sports culture operates on different emotional frequencies than Western tennis markets. Philippines tennis lacks traditional powerhouse infrastructure. No clay academies producing generational talent. No deep funding or national federation resources matching France or Spain. Instead exists emotional investment intensity in individual athletes that when channeled produces tribal devotion. Manny Pacquiao built boxing versions, Carlos Yulo demonstrated gymnastics applications, Eala is achieving tennis breakthrough. Tennis individual format and global circuit gives Filipino fans more access points and physical presence opportunities than other sports. Rome crowds weren't accidental, but products of fan bases waiting for Eala-caliber players, finally watching her compete on stages matching their belief scale. Becker recovered quickly. Subsequent tournament commentary staying sharp and genuinely complimentary without hollow emerging player flattery. He acknowledged court intelligence, identified baseline game patterns reflecting quality coaching and tactical development, noted her crowd energy management showing mental composure most players take years developing. That observation matters more than preceding silence moments. Conversation about Eala in 2026 runs. Dual tracks rarely communicating properly. First track covers cultural national story. Filipino girl carrying nations, fan bases, flags, emotion. That story is real, powerful, deserving attention received. Second track examines tennis story, ranking progression, clay court records, technical qualities determining consistent top 20 status versus compelling but limited tour presence. Becker's comments targeted track 2, where honest assessment lives. Eala's clay game builds on speed and retrieval, but defense to offense transitions still carry mid-court hesitation that top 10 opponents will identify and exploit. Her serve, while improved, doesn't function as genuine weapon, disrupting elite returner patterns. Second serve aggression under pressure drops predictably across full matches. These aren't fatal flaws, but specific edges requiring next phase development sharpening. Every player outside top 10 has similar lists. Questions always whether coaching environments and competitive intelligence address them properly. At 20, Eala has time advantages, but professional tennis time moves faster than outsiders realize. Windows for correctable weakness fixes are finite. Players acting early shift careers from interesting to formidable. Rome evidence suggested reasonable pace. Eala competing with physical intensity and tactical clarity, indicating clay season training blocks produced tangible results. She moved better. Pressure shot selection became more decisive. Mid-court hesitation remained but appeared less frequent than earlier tournaments. Professional tennis progress rarely dramatic, accumulating small percentages across hundreds of matches. Rome showed percentages moving correctly. Fan frenzy wasn't detached from tennis, but response to tennis earning such devotion. Filipino fans in Rome weren't cheering symbols, but players visibly developing into sport rarities. Genuine competitors from non-traditional tennis nations operating without structural advantages, most tour players expect, still finding match-winning and room-capturing methods. Becker understood this by tournament's end. His earlier silence wasn't confusion about Eala's quality, but specific pause happening when experienced observers encounter category-defying phenomena. Rome 2026. Eala didn't fit neatly, crowds didn't fit neatly, entire situations sat outside normal WTA clay court event coordinates with displacement visible in real-time broadcasts. That made it discussion-worthy, not as gotcha moment for respected voices but genuine signal about sports direction. New markets aren't simply providing audiences anymore, but providing players arriving with fan bases, reshaping atmospheres, those atmospheres influencing sports sound and feel in historic venues. Timing also deserves attention since Eala is 20. Clay Swing 2026 isn't her story's ceiling, but foundation. Players developing this court intelligence at this age, surface competitive exposure level, tend to compound rapidly between 21 and 24. That's the window where technical edges get filed down. Ranking jumps become expected rather than surprising, where players stop being described as promising and start being described as dangerous. Eala sits at that window's entrance now. Rome crowds sensed it before analysts wrote it down. Crowds often do, reading players in ways statistics take months confirming. What 50,000 people felt in Foro Italico wasn't just national pride but recognition that something genuinely significant stood on that clay. Watching it now before world catches up was privilege worth traveling for. Rome has heard much across tennis history decades. What it heard when Alex Eala walked onto clay this year was something unprecedented. Boris Becker heard it too. For several seconds it was the only audible thing. That's the complete story requiring this depth. Because tennis world moves fast, and this channel maintains that pace with regular episode drops going exactly this deep every time.